sit. This is Junebug, who does not know how to sit. We've been working on it. She's not there yet. In this video, sit. We're working on it. We're a work in progress. In this video, we're going to actually go over tips and tricks to help your dog walk with a loose leash. She likes to pull on the leash and she lunges and goes all over the place. So dogs have what's called an opposition reflex. If you pull on the leash, they're programmed to pull against you. Sit, gotta reward that. If she was laying down, I try to roll her over this way, she would push against it. That's a normal reaction for dogs. I see people all the time, they're pulling their dog into position, and that's guaranteed gonna make the dog pull against it, and you're gonna go back and forth, and you're never gonna have a fun walk. So the first thing we wanna do when you're walking your dog is you wanna assign a side, your left side or your right side. Now, this is ideally done we're in a parking lot here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of use the leash. You'd like to find this in a secured area. If you can go to the dog park and you're the only one there, this is a great time to do some training. So the first thing we're going to do, her guardian wants her to walk on the right side. So the first thing I want her to do is teach her to walk that approaching on the right side is rewarded. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to use a clicker. Have you ever used a clicker before? So if you've never used a clicker before, you want to prime the clicker. So what I do is I go like this and drop it on the floor. So when she licks it up, she hears a click. The click means that a reward is coming soon, but at first we do it as soon as the dog licks it up. And then eventually, when the dog does the right thing, you click then, and then you treat as soon as you can after that. Don't ever use this as a remote, like click, click, click to get the dog's attention. That's the opposite of what you want to use it for. All right, so what I'm going to do is, because her guardian wants her to walk on the right side, I'm going to walk around her in clockwise circles. Anytime she makes any movement towards me whatsoever, I'm going to click and then give her a treat. Now, when you're doing this, make sure you have a plethora of treats. And since she's a little one, I've been giving her treats like crazy throughout this whole session. I'm cutting these in half. I'm going to have the guardian who's filming this. She's just going to stay right there. I'm going to back a couple feet away so you can watch both of us do this. And you notice every time she looks at me or comes towards me, I'm going to click. All right, let's try that, June. Let's see. How do we do? Now I'm already starting to get dizzy, so if you get dizzy, just make it more of an oval and bigger circle. Now ideally you want to do this off leash so you can just walk around, and if your dog wanders off, just do a tighter circle around your dog and keep walking around your dog until it comes to you on its own. As soon as it looks at you, click and give it a treat at first. Then you want it to take a step towards you before you click, then 2 steps, and eventually the dog just starts walking on your right side because we've conditioned it and rewarded it for doing that. Okay, so the first stage is just keep on walking in circles until your dog kind of comes towards you. The next stage is we want to teach, and this is more of a loose leash walking than a heel technique. I'm going to walk back and forth this way, and as soon as the dog passes in front of me, I'm going to stop, I'm going to crouch down, and make a kissing sound. Now what you should see is the dog should start coming back to us on its own without me making the kissing sound. So at first I'm going to make the kissing sound right away, but after I've done this about a dozen or so times, then I'm just going to stop and wait for the dog to hit the end of the leash. When it hits the end of the leash is the point you want to kiss it first. But eventually the dog will hit the end of the leash and just automatically turn and come back to you. We call this an auto return. All right, ready? June? Let's go, sweetheart. So she has paying attention to me. I've been doing this whole way. Now we've been practicing this a little bit already, so she's already better than she was. Now normally what's going to happen is the dog's going to go out ahead and hit, and then it would crouch down, make the kiss, and get the dog to come back. But because of the work we did, which was literally about 200 feet, of just every time she got in front, as soon as the dog passes me, I stop. As soon as it gets to the end of the leash, I make the kissing sound and crouch down. Dog comes back and gets the treat. So this is just to teach the dog that when it gets to the end of the leash, if it just turns around and comes back to you, it's rewarded. Now the next stage, what we're going to do is we want to teach the dog to stay in the heel position. And in order to do this, I'm not going to use the clicker. I'm going to hold the treat on the seam of my pants, which is the stripe that goes down here. So you see, she's already paying attention to me because I'm delivering a lot of treats. So this is where the heel position comes from, is the dog is associated with your heel. When you do this, don't ever treat the dog up here because you're training the dog to go in front. So let me turn around. Let's turn around one more time to get better camera presence. There we go. So I'm holding it here. Heel. Now you can say heel when the dog is actually in the heel position. So first when you're doing this, you're gonna be taking a lot of steps, holding the lead down here. You're gonna look ridiculous walking. Don't worry about going for a real walk. Most people think about when they're going to walk, they're thinking about the destination. I'm going to the park. And then the dog starts pulling. We get frustrated, the dog's not doing what we want. I'm doing this for you, buddy. Well, instead of doing that, go outside on the street and practice going one house and then back to the other house. So you're walking 3 houses back and forth. You're not actually going a duration. You're just gonna spend 10 minutes practicing this. After a while, the dog's like, I've already sniffed this, I've already peed on that. So then it's easier for them to focus on you because we're more appealing because we have these high value training treats. All right, let's try that again. Heel. Now ideally we would like the dog not to jump up on us. When we have little dogs like this, a little training tip, if you get a chucker, it's a stick that allows you to pick up balls off the ground and throw them farther so you have to touch them. Well, if you hold one of those, the chucker grabs like this. What I would do is hold it backwards so that the blades are like this and put a treat in here. That way I can lower the chucker and they can lick the treat right out of there so we don't have to keep on bending down like this the whole time. So the first stage is, like I said, the circle, or in this way, a circle this way. If you want your dog to walk on the left side, you would walk in counterclockwise circles. Second stage, and we're gonna go ahead and walk towards here because we have somebody leaving the parking lot. There we go. We'll go ahead and come a little bit further. The second stage is, again, we're gonna do the walking, and as soon as the dog passes in front of us, we stop. When the dog gets close to the end of the leash, we crouch down and we make the kissing sound, and the dog comes back and we give them the treat. The third stage is we're gonna walk with the treat here, and you're gonna be releasing it like every other step. After a while, that dog is gonna be bird dogging right on your calf. The next stage seems counterintuitive. We're gonna take the treat away right before we deliver. See if I can achieve one of these. Oh, that's well. How about a sit? Up. Sit pretty. So if she does that, I would give her a treat and call that pretty. So now you're teaching her a different command. Sit or sit pretty. All right, you ready to do this a little bit? Come here, sweetheart. All right, so as I'm walking, I'm gonna do one here, heel, and we have a car going. This is make it a little bit more challenging than I go like here. Now, at first, the car, I think, threw her off. But when we first lift it up, we wanna go like take a step, pull it here, and then go back and give it to her right away. What we're trying to teach her is when the treat goes away, that's not a point to be disappointed about. That should be really excited because the treat's about to come back. So at first we go like boom, boom, and we're giving the dog the treat. And then we take another step and boom, boom. And so you're holding it here, but right before you deliver it, you pull it away and then give the dog the treat. After a while, you go hold it up here for 2 steps and then they give the dog the treat. Then you hold it up here for 3 steps. So the idea is you're elongating. If you look at the dog, where's the dog's head right now? It's looking right up here at my head. That's why we pull it away here. The dog's perspective, it's looking at the treat and my head at the same time. I want your dog walking down the street like this to be like, checking out the guardian every couple feet. Right now when the guardian walks the dog is checking out everything but the guardian. So now the guardian has given a lot of treats and is providing the dog a reinforcer, and so then the dog is paying attention and running into stuff as you go down the street, and your friends are like, what happened to your dog? It used to be all over the place, now it's walking right next to you. You're like, of course, we hired David at Doggone Problems, he showed us how to do it. But by teaching your dog to do this, and again, instead of thinking I'm going to Cloverfield or wherever the street is, we're just gonna simply walk back and forth, and I'm gonna spend 10 minutes practicing. I'm gonna wait for 1 second. We are literally in a medical center parking lot, and there's a hospital right by, so this here happens a lot, but as you see, it didn't bother the dog at all. So now she's sitting and she's still looking up at me, waiting, wondering when I'm gonna give her the treats. This is the benefit of positive dog training, is you motivate the dog to want to listen to you, as opposed to doing it because you're jerking the leash. Now, a little tip for people who do this, a lot of people, I see them walking down the street, the dog gets in front and they jerk the leash, they snap to the side and they say, heel. What they mean to say is, I want you to go back in the heel position. As a dog translator, I will tell you what the dog hears. Heel means the human wants to try to break my neck again. It has nothing to do with going in the heel position. So when the dog is in the heel position, that's when we're delivering a treat. Heel. Heel. And one more time. Now, don't drop the leash unless you're comfortable doing it. Heel. Now she doesn't wear a collar a lot, so I think this is throwing her off and dragging the leash a little bit. Up. Sit. Sit. This is Junebug, and And these are some tips and tricks you can use to teach your dog to walk out of the loose leash and stop pulling on walks.